Well, a few days ago, I opened this show by saying that in a world of moaning and groaning, whining and wailing, sulking and complaining, we should all be a little bit more like Michael Block. He's the 46-year-old dad and local golf club pro who just lit up one of golf's major tournaments in spectacular fashion. Through sheer force of will, he made the cut at a major PGA tournament for the first time last week, where he electrified the crowds, huge crowds that came for him by the end, paired with superstar Rory McIlroy, and then dunked a ridiculously improbable hole-in-one that will be replayed for years to come. Along the way, he charmed and delighted millions with his humility, his humour, his emotion, and his can-do spirit. And we now know a little bit more about how he did it and why we should indeed all be a little bit more like Michael Block. It boils down to two short phrases and four words. Firstly, scrawled on his golf balls are the words, "Why not?" That's what he once said to his caddy, who just told him he was one putt away, a 22-foot putt, from making the US Open. And he nailed it, because why not? Secondly, his son Dylan, who's caddied for him in the past, apparently did something simple but extraordinary when Block's confidence was seriously flagging a few years ago. He said, "Look inside your shoes, Dad." And when Block did, he saw the words, "Don't quit." I love that. Some people might think I've lost my marbles for banging on about a golfer all week. But for me, it's not about golf. It's not even really about sport. It's about being a human being who's had a dream all his life. And when he got the chance to realise that dream, he grabbed it by the scruff of the neck. I called him the Rocky Balboa of golf for exactly that reason. And I never missed an opportunity to play the Piers Morgan mantra for winning, not whining, spoken by the man himself.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Well, no one personifies that spirit more than my next guest. If that doesn't get you moving, nothing will, right? Ironically, when my producers told me that Michael Block was unavailable for interview on Monday, I had two short phrases for them. Why not? Don't quit. So I'm delighted to say Michael Block now joins me live from the Colonial Country Club in Texas. Michael, a great honour to have you on Piers Morgan Uncensored. I'm going to start by an admission. Until last week, I'd never heard of you. Like probably most people who watched you. And then by the end of the week, the whole of America knew you, the whole world knew you, and you had endeared yourself to tens of millions of people around the world. How do you feel? What's it been like to be Michael Block in the last few days?
It's probably, Piers, I mean, you know how it feels, but for us average folks like me, yeah, it's exactly what you would think. Your brain just is numb. It's insane. You can't comprehend what's even going on. It's nuts. I'm literally just floating around at this point, and thank God I've got a whole bunch of people here helping me get through it. And I got a couple more interviews, and then I'm gonna get my clubs back out. I'm gonna practice all afternoon and get ready for tomorrow's tournament.
There was, I mean, this is one of the great benefits already. You're being invited to take part in tournaments, which you wouldn't otherwise have been playing in. Otherwise, you'd have been back at your local club, teaching people how to play this game that you love. You're 46 years old, and you've had this burning dream for so long. To actually realise that dream, to compete against the very best in one of the great major tournaments, and then to drain that ludicrous hole-in-one where you didn't even need the ball to bounce like the rest of us or go along the ground like the rest of us. It just went straight in the hole with Rory McIlroy haggling you, thousands of spectators going nuts, millions watching at home going nuts. That moment, I mean, is that the dream realised for you, whatever happens next?
You know, I mean, I've been playing tournament golf for, my goodness, 40 years. I've never had a hole-in-one in a tournament in my life. And for the ball to go directly into the hole, it was almost like somebody just grabbed it out of the air and threw it into the hole. Under those circumstances, it's unbelievable. And I guess that's why the story is what it is. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better timing of making a shot in my entire life, and it happened. Under those circumstances, playing with one of my idols, Rory McIlroy, play in front of the Rochester, New York fans who were absolutely behind me 100%. And I wasn't even thinking about the millions of people behind all the cameras. I was just sitting there wanting to let that crowd go absolutely crazy, and I guess I did exactly what I needed to do on that hole.
You showed so much emotion throughout the whole process of this tournament, and yet your wife has said that you never cried when your kids were born, when your two sons, you're a very loving dad and they're both very good young golfers. You never cried when they were born, but you've been weeping away for the last 4 days. How do you explain you find this more emotional?
Oh, boy. You could say I love the game of golf unbelievably, but, I mean, obviously I love my kids more. I love a lot of things more than golf, but golf is just this passion, and it's a sport. And the only time I had ever cried ever before I started crying about my own game was watching Rudy and watching the movie Rudy, and when he puts that, you know, all the teammates come in and put their jerseys down so Rudy can play. Yeah. That's the only other time I remember ever having that emotional state and actually coming to tears. And so now I feel like that every time I hear somebody tell me these items. Like I had no idea that I was in the next PGA Championship or how much I won or what other tournaments I got into. And every single time I hear these great things, it just brings me to tears. And it's been amazing, and I am definitely an emotional roller coaster right now.
I mean, one of the most extraordinary of all the remarkable moments you've had is that you got, I think, 3,000 or 4,000 text messages, and you were told by somebody from Nike, look, you better check them, because in the middle of them is one from Michael Jordan, who'd seen you wearing a pair of his sneakers. Have you found that text, and what did he say to you?
The second that I got the word, I go, you what? I go, Michael texted me. I didn't see it. And they're like, you're kidding me. I'm like, no. And so I just started scrolling and scrolling, and I've literally thousands upon thousands of texts, and half of them don't have a name. Yeah. And I definitely didn't have his name in my contacts. So I kept on scrolling. Finally found it. And he basically said something down to the lines that this is why he loves the game of golf so much. And my big request from him is that I want to spend one of those days with him. I want to at his course and play 36 holes with him and his friends, and that just will make my life complete.
I mean, Michael Jordan, for many the greatest athlete to ever play any sport, to be taking time out of his life to text you, Michael Block, that's a remarkable thing, right?
I don't think, you know, outside of my friends and family, nobody ever texted me out before last week. So, yeah, having Michael Jordan and all the other texts I've had since then, it's ridiculously fun and exciting and very, very surreal.
What does your wife say about this? I mean, she's been, they say behind every great man is a greater woman. She's lived this dream with you, I guess, vicariously through the good and bad, often bad, I guess, often tough, certainly. It's not easy to be a journeyman professional golfer. How important has she been to you?
Unbelievable. She's been there for me all the way. She stood by me, you know, when I was making $8.50 when I started my job. And I always said, trust me, honey, trust me. I'm always going to have you covered. Ever since, and that's been always my goal, right? To be able to raise my family in a great spot in Southern Orange County in California, which isn't easy. And it's been huge, and she's a rock for me. And she understands what I've been through, the good and the bad. And she's going to come in hopefully Saturday here to Fort Worth. I just have to make the cut.
What did you say? Because I know at least one of them often caddies for you, but didn't on this occasion. What did they make of this? Their dad, their hero, suddenly becoming the world's hero.
I've never heard my oldest one say so many positive things about me. Usually, you know, I was always the enemy and the you know, the guy that he was trying to beat on the golf course. This one, Ethan, he's a sweetheart. He's always been the same way. But now, all of a sudden, Dylan's chimed in, and he thinks Dad's pretty cool now. So it's pretty awesome. You know, it's pretty awesome as a father that has a 16 and 18-year-old boys. For them to look up to their pops is really awesome. And I haven't seen him since. I have not seen him for 1 second. So I can't wait to be back in California here in the whatever it is by hopefully Sunday night and give him big hugs.
Dylan, of course, was caddying for you when you had a low moment. I think in 2018 you were feeling low about your game, and he said, "Look in your shoes, Dad." and it just said the words, "Don't quit." How important was that moment to you?
He was 13 years old. I just made a triple bogey. I had to finish in the top 20 of that tournament to get into the PGA Championship in 2018 at Belle Reve Country Club in St. Louis. I grew up a mile from Belle Reve Country Club, so it was my #1 priority checklist to make happen. So I'm walking off this hole, just making a horrible mess of it, triple bogey. And I'm walking off. He's 13. He's like this high, right? He's a little guy. And he says, "Hey, Dad." He goes, "Dad, did you look in your shoes?" And I'm like, "No, buddy. I just got these last week." And he goes, "It says don't quit, so you're not going to quit on me." And I got emotional at that point too. And I'm like, my kid's saying that to me. I mean, come on, let's go. And I refocused and I got into a playoff. I made a birdie in the playoff and I got into the PGA Championship in 2018, which was unreal.
It was amazing, and it was also amazing that your golf balls have the words "Why not?" and the story's great, where you're qualifying for the US Open, got a 22-foot putt. Why not? Is what you and your caddy. You said, "Why not? Why shouldn't I get this in?" And you had the same attitude. Actually, I watched the interviews as you progressed in the PGA tournament. You just kept thinking, rather than downplaying the fact you were there, you kept saying, "Well, why shouldn't I be here? I'm a professional golfer. On my day, I can compete with these guys." But to actually then compete with these guys at their level, to be with Rory McIlroy and play as well as he did on that final day, that for you as a golfer, what a moment.
I'll tell you what, everyone should live that way, you know, whether it's going to a business meeting or a sport or going to your softball game or whatever it might be. I mean, if you live with that mantra, why can't it happen to me? It's going to work. It's a positive, you know. One of the biggest things for me is to take the negatives out of the brain and to replace them with positives. So if I'm thinking positively, I can't think about two things at the same time. So I'm going to keep focusing on that, and that's worked out beautifully for me. So I keep that mantra going, and I kept it going last week. I'm going to keep it going this week and hopefully the rest of my life, and I'm trying to teach my boys to do the same thing.
And for people watching this who have their own dream, whatever it is, not necessarily golf, just a dream in life, you've realised your dream at 46, when many may have given up hope. What is your message to people living a dream of any age, given what you've just achieved?
Well, if you're passionate about it and you work as hard as you possibly can, you're going to give yourself the best opportunity to have it happen. Is it guaranteed to have happen? Absolutely not. But at the end of the day, you know, when you're about to leave this planet, you can look back at it and you said, I gave it 100%, because the last thing I'm going to do is leave this planet thinking that I only gave it 60%, or hey, you know, maybe I'm just too tired, I'm going to go home and relax. No, go out, play that extra 9, go out, practice a little harder, go work on that, you know, presentation you're going to give the next day a little harder. Give it that extra 100%, and when it's all said and done, you'll be way happier about it for yourself.
Finally, Michael, it's traditional, of course. Whoever gets a hole-in-one in golf buys everybody in the clubhouse a drink. And in fact, Brooks Koepka, who won the tournament, when he saw you, went, "I hear the beers are on you, buddy," or words to that effect. When you go back to your club, will you be buying everybody in that clubhouse who are going nuts on your behalf, watching their pro take the PGA by storm? Are you going to go back and buy them all a drink?
100%. Thanks, Piers, for saying that. You know they're going to take me for sure up on that now. So, yeah, I will. As long as they were in there for that, you know, when they were going nuts, when that hole-in-one, everybody that was in there at that point, without a doubt, drinks are on me when I get back.
And just to clarify, the moment you knew you'd got that hole-in-one, better than sex, Michael?
Absolutely not.
You thought about that. I'm not even sure that's a genuine answer, but you thought your wife's watching this, didn't you? Be honest.
You're horrible. That was great, though.
Michael Block.
Yeah. I'm gonna get some for that.
You are. Eventually, you managed to get the right answer out. What did Rory McIlroy say to you, just finally? Because you were playing with this great guy. He was so moved, I think, by the whole experience. He said you had bigger crowds following you than him. And he hugged you at the end. What did he say to you?
Oh, he was instrumental. How sweet he was and how nice he was to me the entire time. Took me under his wing, as did Rosie on Saturday. That was huge. That's probably one of the reasons I was able to shoot a 71 that final round and have that stuff happen. But he just said, keep it going. Just be you. That's what I kept on hearing from a lot of the guys. Just be you. Keep doing what you're doing. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm just trying to be me still. I'm out here in Texas now. I'm going to do the exact same thing I did last week. Does that guarantee that I'm going to have a hole-in-one or finish 15th? Absolutely not. But you guys all know that at the end of the day, that when I leave here and when I leave Texas and go back to California, I gave it everything I had.
Michael, you're fantastic. Honestly, I loved the interviews through the progress of that tournament. I loved the hole-in-one. I loved the magic of it all. I love the hope and inspiration you've given every golfer like me in the world, playing around off 16 and hoping that one day maybe we could do what you did. You lived a dream for a lot of us, a lot of pros, a lot of everyone actually living a dream out there. Thank you for that. And congratulations, honestly. It's one of the great sports stories of recent years, and I loved every second of it.
Hey, Piers, thank you so much, and thanks for having me on.
Good to see you.